Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum, boys and girls. Welcome once again to the world changing, mind altering, perception perceiving. I'll let you all just ponder on that one for a hot second. A perception perceiving podcast that is here tonight because it is 8 o'clock on the East Coast and it is 7 o'clock in Texas because they're special with their own time zone. And everybody knows that the world just runs off of East Coast time because what other time zone in the world is there? And we are here again, ready this evening to take on the topics that matter and to talk about the things that are important, not just to us, but to you, our listeners, our fans, our Twitter followers. And I'm going to keep babbling, and I kind of lost my little train of thought there. So before I go on any longer, ladies and gentlemen, the hardest working imam that I know, Imam Azhar.
Assalamu alaikum. Greetings of peace to all our listeners tonight as we continue to expand our footprint, our digital footprint from Facebook to YouTube and from Google Play to iTunes and the lot. Not to forget the Venn Network. We are continuing to spark dialogue and discussion wherever we go because that's exactly what we want to do. We want to create discussions and create a framework for discussions that need to happen in our world because we believe in the absence of those discussions, we're only allowing misunderstanding and misinformation to spread in our world, make our world toxic by making the minds of people toxic, and ultimately pin us against each other. When in reality, that's not why Allah created this earth or us for that purpose. So, as usual, every week we have a Twitter poll, and on the Twitter poll, we present certain topics of discussion that you, the audience, select, and then we, the hosts, discuss. So, without further ado, Brother Carl, let us know what the topics were for this week and what the topic is that was selected by the listeners to discuss tonight, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you for that lovely introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, you can follow us on Twitter at Venn Network. And once you follow us there on Venn Network, you will see that every Monday we post our poll, and it is a listener poll. It is for you guys, it is for the fans, it is for all of you to vote on what we're going to be talking about. What other podcast allows their topic of conversation that week to be chosen by the listeners? We do. Of course, we set confines around it, but there it is. And so go out over to Twitter, look for Venn Network on Twitter, VENNNETWORK. And on there, make sure you follow us. And when we post these polls, vote, and you will get to pick the topic. So tonight, or Monday rather, we sent out our poll. And the options were I stand with Ilhan, socialism versus communism. What's the deal with? And if you don't know, the what's the deal with is one of my favorite personal topics because I just love throwing it out there. It's kind of a grab bag, however we're feeling that day. And you guys voted, and you have given us our topic for the week. And as you can see on the screen right now, you chose hashtag IStandWithIlhan. So there it is. That is our topic this week. We'll take that away. And yeah, so let's address the hashtag IStandWithIlhan, why it exists, why it needs to exist, and why you should care that it exists. Imam Azhar.
So, everyone, tonight we are picking a hot topic, a very tense topic of discussion, which is, in my words, plaguing our nation tonight. I'm saying the word plaguing because it's a discussion that has taken a lot of attention, a lot of energy, a lot of emotions, and it is being used as a tool on both ends. And I say that as a person who comes to you as someone who is trying to seek a solution in everything that we see happening in our world, not to exacerbate those problems. But before I give you my 2 cents, and tonight we want and we really need you as our listeners to engage with us, to text us, to email us, to post something in the live chat below on this YouTube live stream and tell us your thoughts about this because emotions are raw. It's so raw that even the president is continuing to apply pressure. Congress is trying to pass a bill. The Democrats are working on that back door, behind closed doors, sorry. And something is expected to emerge on Thursday. But what is the story all about? Before Carl enlightens us on this story, I want to tell you all that it's interesting. Every week we have What's the Deal With on our Twitter poll, and no one votes for it, Carl. That's kind of frustrating. So you can maybe write, I select What's the Deal With. You can kind of vote on that and maybe text or comment below on that tweet what you want to talk about. But that's another topic for another day. Carl, who is Ilhan Omar? What is going on with Ilhan Omar that the president, Congress, the Democrats, the Republicans, everyone, including the Muslim community, the Jewish community, and other minority communities, are involved in a heated discussion? Can you enlighten us tonight, please?
So I will bring you up to speed as best I can for what I have. So Ilhan Omar is a congresswoman out of Minnesota, and probably about 4 weeks ago ish, she posted a comment that was taken as anti-Semitic, and I'm not going to touch that because no matter how you look, I know it was directed at I believe it's APEC, and depending on how you look at it, it could have been anti-Semitic, maybe it wasn't, I don't know, whatever, not going to go there. And she dealt with a lot of backlash from that, and she ended up getting punished, and she had to apologize and the whole 9 yards. And then this last Saturday or Sunday, she made some more comments that are considered to be anti-Semitic, and they're saying now that they want her off the Foreign Exchange Commission and they want her to step out. I've seen tweets calling for her to be deported. I've seen tweets where they're saying that she needs to go to jail. I've seen tweets that two of my favorite trolls in the universe that I hate with a passion, which are going to be Laura Loomer and Jacob Wall, just two utterly just pieces of human garbage, to be honest with you. They're saying that she married her brother, and so she created fraud by bringing him in, and so she shouldn't even be here, having her citizenship revoked. I've seen stuff saying that it's Obama because he brought in 40,000. It was funny because PolitiFact said this was actually fake, but he brought in 43,000 Somali refugees, and now there's over 80,000, and this was Obama's plan the whole time. Oh, they're coming for you. And it's just ridiculous. It is just utterly ridiculous. And the reason it is ridiculous is that everything that I've personally read on Ilhan Omar's Twitter feed is just simply talking about Israeli policy. And that's what it is. You're allowed to talk about the policy of other countries. It's there. Fine. Whatever. No problem. But what's killing me is the amount of Islamophobia that this is exposing. Send her back. Send them all back. Send them to prison and then send them back. Send them to Guantanamo Bay and then send them back. I even saw a handful of tweets, and I kid you not, and this killed me. This absolutely killed me. It said some of the articles that they're using to show that Ilhan Omar is a bad person are coming from an Ahmadiyya website. It's the Ahmadiyas trying to attack the Sunnis. That's what this... I'm like, yo, for real. Really? That's what this is. You know, these white guys, they're sending pipe bombs to CNN, and they're doing all this insane stuff. But yeah, that one Muslim hijabi, she's the one that's going to bring the entire country down. And it also goes back to an, a balance, because Steve King has said some outrageously landish just crap,
Mhm.
and he's okay. He's still got a job. People still voting for him. But hey, I guess Nazis are better than ISIS. I don't understand. And like you said, this is a hot topic. I have a lot of personal emotions towards this,
Mhm.
just because there's so much. And if there's anybody under the age of like 18 watching now or in the future, go ahead and cover your ears. But there's just such a load of bullshit around this that it drives me insane.
Well, Carl, of course, emotions are raw, and as you said tonight, after
Are they
listening to
raw Islam? No, sorry.
raw emotional Islam, that would be a whole new website. So that'll be a whole new, sorry, podcast with a different background, and stuff for la. So fellow listeners, let's put things in context here. Ilhan Omar, a newly elected congresswoman up in DC representing Minnesota, was also part of the Foreign Relations Committee. She responded to someone's tweet by saying it's all about the Benjamin's baby. And she was referring to the money that goes to APAC or to Israel um, on behalf of the American tax dollars. I am not going to be the one who's going to tell you tonight if that's anti Semitic or not, but I'm going to tell you something very clearly. The definition of anti Semitism is to harbor hostility or prejudice against Jews. I want people to understand that. The Jewish community is a very diverse community, even though they're not, you know, a billion in population as Muslims are. There may be 13, 14 million Jews in the world, but even amongst them, there's different ideologies of the faith. There's different beliefs in the faith itself, just as there are in Christianity and Islam and any other faith that's out there. And this was taught to me by one of my close Jewish friends recently over lunch. We had this discussion. You have angles of the Jewish Voices for Peace, who feel that Israeli occupied land is unlawful and it's not the homeland of the Jews. It's wrong. As then there are those who believe that it's their homeland and this is where they have to return. Orthodox Jews may differ with that. I'm not here to speak on behalf of the Jewish community tonight, but I want to clarify a few things. And I'm not here saying I'm standing with Ilhan Omar or I'm standing against her. I'm here tonight to talk about what we're seeing happening in our nation because of her tweet. Anti Semitism is harboring prejudice or hatred towards Jews. The first question that would be asked is, do Muslims, by default, harbor hostility or prejudice against Jews? I want you to understand that from the context of Islam and not from a Muslim. Because
But
I
wait,
cannot.
but wait, but wait. Doesn't the Quran say that we're supposed to kill them all where we find them?
Wasn't that like the first revelation that came down that go find all the Jews and kill them? Like, come on, that's what people think. The laws of the Quran that said to kill the mushrikeen, the idolaters, or the enemies, or whoever the Quran told to kill, which could be a discussion on another day, and that could be part of our poll because that will take up the entire discussion. It was in context with enemies who were coming to invade them and to destroy them. That's when Allah revealed the verses that you will kill each one of them because they have now come to you seeking that war, seeking that harm, and you need to defend yourself. May it be killing them or imprisoning them, that's what's going to happen. Topic for another day. But is Islam founded on the belief that we have to harbor prejudice, animosity, hatred towards Jews? No. Is that a tenet in Islam? No. Do we hate anyone in Islam? No. If you don't believe me, take it to the bank. Don't let Fox News or certain Muslims who actually articulate that and say that they're calling for jihad or the killing of the Jews to make you believe that. They may be speaking from whichever mouth that they have, but they're not speaking for Islam. I just want to clarify that. Islam,
but wait. While we don't, while we're not supposed to kill anyone and we don't hate anyone, we do harbor a little bit of animosity for the person who invented breakfast hummus because that's just not right.
now, see, you just ruined my inclination towards hummus. I never loved hummus for the longest time. Due to my health, I just started hummus. Matter of fact, last night I ate a small cup of hummus for dinner because it was so late. And now you talk about breakfast hummus. It's like eating porridge in the morning. It's hummus not. See, you just turned me off of hummus right there. So, uh, another hummus company just lost another customer. Thank you, Carl, for that. We applaud you. This show is brought to you by Carl's Breakfast Hummus. I don't know where that came from. So, anti-Semitism, anti-Semites. Now, people. I was this afternoon in a program alongside a Jewish rabbi, and he explained to a delegation of German students that were here tonight about the difference between being anti-Semite or anti-Semitic and anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is more institutionalized. In Islam, there's no anti-Semitism, nor is there any support to be anti-Semite or anti-Semitic. If you want to understand the vocabulary, please check it up. Nevertheless, moving on, she made a comment based on her position of what she feels is a problem with our country and how it functions. She has a voice, she's in a position. Is it right or wrong? I'm no one to say because that's not my position. I can't tell Elon Musk how he's running Tesla and if I think it's right or wrong. It's none of my business because it's his company, how he's running it, that's his business. How our elected officials run our country or address issues are to serve us for the betterment of the country. Their goal is to look out for the betterment of this country. And to me, it's treasonous when people will not look out for the betterment of this country. Rather, they'll use this country to harm this country and its people. Well, I'm not going to talk about this world, but that's why there's a day of judgment. Allah will hold anyone and everyone who violates trust and misuses and abuses resources of the people for the common welfare and the goodness of the people. It's going to come back to haunt them, and unfortunately, that's the reality. Nevertheless, so she made that tweet. It was considered to be anti-Semitic. The whole world went up in arm. The Jewish community, many in the Jewish community, many against her, and many actually with her. Then after in government, it became a row until, uh, as usual, certain members of our Congress who have no better time but to start digging up false lies about people, stating that she had some relationship with her brother to bring him over to this country. Again, it's the same witch hunt as they did with Obama. If there's something black and white, bring it out, and a person should face the consequences of that. But if there's nothing black and white, constantly taking people down this road of suspicion and doubt, and to create a story out of no story, and that's not the tweets. I'm talking about her past, her immigration, and this, that, and the other, when we have amazing USCIS immigration officers across the country and across the world, you are literally putting down your nation and the ability for them to do the work right. You're saying that they couldn't understand this, and you, as a news journalist and a news investigator, found this out. Good luck for you. You're just, Carl, to me, I'll tell you straight up, this is all a big distraction. And just mark my words, this is all a big deflection and distraction from the bigger stories of our nation. And I don't know why they're doing that. Nevertheless, the Democrats are meeting behind closed doors, and I think they're putting together some type of a policy to address this. It was paused today and is going to be rescheduled to Thursday because many new Democrats, such as Cortez, she is saying that why are we coming down so hard on her for this when other minorities, their rights are violated? Words are said such as, and I'm sad to say this because I'm going to West Virginia at the end of this month to West Virginia University to attend a conference. The West Virginia Senate, or is it the Capitol, has a poster of Ilhan Omar with 9/11 towers in the back, trying to say that she's the one who was responsible for 9/11. Well, if history serves right, just pick up the newspapers and find out who were the hijackers and where they came from and what their agenda was. This has nothing to do with an American congresswoman who is sitting, taking an oath of office to represent this country and to protect this country. I think it's totally bogus and it's actually a deflection from the truth. It is the same witch hunt that these same people who are instigating these things, who are trying to cause harm against minorities, the black community, the Latina community, the immigrant community, the Hindu community, the Sikh community, the LGBTQ community, the Muslim community, regardless which community is, if anyone does speak out ill against anyone of any minority, including the Jewish community, should be held to the same standards. Should be held to the same standards. Now, what's my personal opinion about the amount of tax dollars, the billions that go to Israel, or our support for APAC and stuff? It's none of my business. You know why? Because I'm here to do my work and do what I need to do. When I'm in a position where I can support or put down a law or to have my voice in an opinion or to meet with my congressmen or women to talk about these concerns, where I feel that this country where people are dying because they couldn't raise $50 more on their GoFundMe page for insulin, which resulted to their death, I think that's an important venture also. When children cannot learn how to read at the grade 7 level, um, that's important also. When people are going hungry in a nation where food is plenty, that's a concern also. So when we're talking about this type of foul play that we're pointing her out for, but we let others slide in the same position and higher position because we think it's okay for them to do so. This double standard in Islam is called hypocrisy, and it's something that Allah in the Quran teaches us Muslims that hypocrisy is a worst state and condition that you could be in your life. So just to make that point clear, two more things. She apologized. She apologized for her tweets. She backtracked on her words. She said she was sorry, and she's receiving death threats. And people are actually applauding the fact that she's getting death threats. Now I ask you, if to you someone isn't American because of the color of their skin, let's eliminate them from the map of America. They're not American because they're not rich enough. Let's eliminate them from America. They're not American because they don't follow the patriots. Let's eliminate them also. At the end of the day, you're gonna have a handful of people that you as a person may feel falls under the category of what it means to be American. You may be the most un American person out there because it is not acceptable for someone in your home. America is our home. We are one family. For someone to be threatened with death and that we stand back, laugh, ridicule, and promote that, this is totally unacceptable. This is not the nation that we are, and this is not the people who we are. Um, my last thing is on this that people need to keep their emotions in check, both the Muslim community, the non Muslim community, the supporters of Ilhan, and those who are against her. We are a nation that we can sit down and have dialogue and discussion, deliberate on issues, come to a conclusion, regardless if we like it or not, and move ahead. And that conclusion isn't based on the color of someone's skin or the language that they speak or the religion that they practice, but it's on the basis of the Constitution that we all uphold as loving people of this country. Carl, I've spoken a lot. You tell me what it is that our listeners are saying or what it is that you're thinking.
So I have two things that I'm going to add. So just to be clear about that poster, it was actually in the West Virginia Capitol, and it wasn't so much that they were blaming her for the actual incidents on 9/11, but they were saying that we swore as Americans we were never going to forget, never forget, but
Mm-hmm.
yet we elected a Muslim into Congress, so therefore we have forgotten what about 9/11 and what those terrible terrible Muslims did to us. And
And just to clarify that, Carl, I like that you pointed that out. That's their explanation. That's their explanation that they're giving of what the purpose that poster served. But ask a simple question: if someone puts, God forbid, your picture, my picture, someone's picture on a pedophilia list, and says never forget, and you're like, I wasn't even part of that. No, no, we're just trying to say, adults are looking at children, so don't forget. It does. I don't buy that. I really don't buy that. Putting her picture in front of the twin towers, which of course 9/11 that we won't forget. I understand the message, but there is a very clear cut statement that there are people in America, in our government, that believe that all Muslims are responsible for 9/11. Heck, even our president said it. He was in New Jersey watching them celebrate the tower's fall, but he could not prove that. He could not back that up. There's no picture, there is no evidence to back that up. The Muslims in New Jersey are celebrating the fall of the Twin Towers. This misconstrued ideology and these claims are exactly the fuel that will burn this country to the ground. Anyone who says a Jew said that he's going to kill America or he's going to bomb America, tomorrow, God forbid, 3, 4 Jews will be killed on the streets by people who think that they're a threat. They were not a threat. Someone just made a false claim and instigated a problem that was never a problem and caused more harm than and damage than one could ever perceive. So this is exactly the mentality. Everyone is touching so close to their message, but leaving enough room to say, well, I didn't hit your car hit mine. No, but you pulled your car right up to my car. So it seems that you hit my car. No, but your car was in my way. So Carl, it's just, I understand and I thank you for clarifying that. But seriously, when they make those remarks and they try to explain themselves, you could see the light emitting from every single pore in their body. And I'm sorry for being upset tonight because I'm done with all this bogus lies and drama. No, no, I don't mean that. Yes, you do. If you have guts, then stand up and say, I mean that. I want to say you Muslims are terrorists. I want to say that you Muslims are a threat to this country. Now, when I know that's how you feel, I'll say, give me a moment. Let's sit down and talk about this. But if you're gonna say, "Oh no, you guys are fine, you're all Americans," but then you turn around and say "death to Muslims" or whatever else, this two-faced strategy is not gonna make your life better. Forget my life, forget the lives of other Americans. You're gonna live in more misery than anyone else. So it's about time that we come out front and we accept our concerns to be valid and discuss them with the people that can solve it. I don't know how Fox and Friends became the most valid source of news and history and strategy and everything else in the world. These guys are uneducated in the field of telling the news. They are professionals in telling their angle of the story. But news is what we call in Islam amana, trust. You tell the story as it is without adding the slightest bit of emotion or detail or hint towards something that would mimic your thoughts of the story. Carl?
So the other thing I was going to add was that the poster has actually been taken down and is no longer there, even though the sergeant at arms refused to take it down initially. Since then, it has been removed from the Capitol. So I was grateful to hear that. And I had another point I was going to make, and I've totally forgotten what it was
I'm so
now.
sorry.
No, no, don't be sorry. It's fine. I will, however, go to listener comments. So let's see. Of course, our super fan is here with us tonight. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Layla. Nice. Night. I'm so happy to see you join. I love it when you comment because I know that people are watching and I know the chat room is actually working. So that's always cool. And Sister Layla had a revelation tonight. Something I didn't know, that apparently the live chat has a character count, so you can't put too much into one box. You have to break it up into multiple posts. Anyway, going on to her comment, she says, I really believe that given her position as a Democratic congresswoman, why even make such comments? Unfortunately, she's still being viewed as a minority and as an immigrant, and also as a Muslim. In this aspect, I think she should have been more mindful of her comments, because what are the consequences? Her position being revoked will be at risk, and will it all be worth just these silly little comments? Sister Layla says she's not trying to take away from her stance and what she believes, but I think it opened a can of worms. And that's actually, Sister Layla reminded me of what I was going to say, which is that last night I actually found online what I assumed to be a credible source, because it sure as hell looked credible. The initial drafts of this statement that Congress is working on, and I actually read through all 4 pages last night, and It was super, super, super weird. It actually turned out to be more like a playbook than anything else.
Mhm.
It was like essentially all they're doing. And as I read it, I don't see why anybody wouldn't actually sign this. I mean, I was ready to sign it when I finished reading it. Because it doesn't bring in Israel, it doesn't bring in any Israeli politics. It specifically says, I mean, it's 4 pages worth of this, which I don't think should have ever been written in the first place. But it was 4 pages of, if you say the Jews control the media, that's anti Semitic. If you say the Jews control the world finances, that's anti Semitic. And really, all you're doing is just giving like the Nazis and anti Semitic people a playbook. They're like, oh, look, here's all the insults we can use. That's super cool. So that was my problem with the way it was worded. And then I started applying it to other things like, how would you write one for the African American community? No, you wouldn't write that. How would you write it for the Muslim community? Which actually led more to, why hasn't there been one written for the Muslim community? But anyway, yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Thank you, Sister Layla, for your comments. I hope, Imam Azhar, you remember what I read from her, but I can go back and reread it again.
No, no.
And back to
I
you.
want to. Yeah, I want to address that. Thank you, Sister Lida, so much for your engagement all the time. Your constant connection with Raw Islam. We truly appreciate your presence, your comments, your words of advice, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. So we pray to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala for you and your health, and for goodness to come your way, inshallah. Ameen. Now that being said, two things I think I need to say before we close tonight, Carl. Number one is her statements. I agree. I agree with you, Sister Laila, that just getting into Congress as a Muslim wearing hijab, people's eyes are on you like a hawk on a mouse. Um, it's a very tense time. There are other more important issues that needed to be discussed and for credibility to be built. I know the APAC conference was around the corner and I think it's still going on. And it is what it is. But emotions are the one thing Islam teaches us to control. And unfortunately, sometimes emotions are not controlled, especially when it comes to the Palestine Israeli conflict. Now, Carl, I'll ask you a very simple question. It's concerning what's happening in Palestine, Israel, but it's equally concerning what's happening in Syria, what happened in Iraq, what happened in Afghanistan, what's happening in Yemen, what's happening in Burma, what's happening in Philippines. There's so many places of concern, but the Muslim community, for some reason, and I'm going to be very open about this, for some reason, are more invested in the Jerusalem issue than they are in any other issue. Because, truth be told, yes, I know Masjid Aqsa is one of our directions of prayer. It is a home of many prophets. It's a land of blessings. There's no doubt about that. I'm not going to underline. I'm not going to undermine that. But the position that we hold of humane treatment, of peace and prosperity for all of humanity is something that is applicable in all these scenarios, not just that one scenario. So when she made her comments, it's about the Benjamin's baby. I think she got carried away personally with this issue. And you know why, Carl? Because many of the people who are rubbing shoulders now with Ilhan Omar and who's the other one? Uh, the other one?
AOC.
Sorry?
AOC.
No, no, not Cortez. The other
Oh,
Muslim from Michigan,
Talib.
Talib. So the reason a lot of, and if you watch closely, a lot of these Muslim advocates and activists, sorry, not advocates, activists and political strategists or political engagers are kind of rubbing shoulders with the two of them because I don't know, I'm not going to say why, but I'm sure they whisper into her ear the things that she needs to talk about, the things that she needs to address. So I'm sure and I'm confident some of that did play into it. So these were comments that could have been prevented. It was issues that could have been let let to slide for this year, next year, because there's many other important issues here in America that we need to talk about. FEMA has just lost most of its funding because the government's taken it away. Most of FEMA's funds don't go to the people who need it. There's a lot of issues. Mexico Beach, Florida is no longer going to be inhabitable. Many people have left because of the destruction caused by the hurricane. Food stamps, insecurity, social security, there's so many things happening. These are things that need to be talked about. So I feel, yes, her comments were too premature. Number two, and my final thing, Carl, unless there's closing remarks, is I don't know why. I don't know why the Muslims, especially the more liberal minded Muslims, are banking on the Democrats. The Democrats are not there to help you. I'm sorry to say that. The Democrats are not there to help you. And if you think that the Republicans are your enemy and the Democrats are your friend, then I apologize. You're in for a great level of not you're
Rude
in for
awakening.
disappointment. You're in for a lot of disappointment, and I'll tell you why. Because at the end of the day, everyone who's working towards something has their agenda, and you're not going to be front and center of their agenda. The Democratic Party isn't clean. Just because there's two Muslims there doesn't mean that they're clean. Their hands are clean, their attitude is clean, their vision is clean. It's murky. And you should know that from the time of what they did with Bernie Sanders, it was clear cut. It came out that there was a lot of conspiracy within House. There was a lot of unprofessional conduct that occurred within the Democratic Party. So when I said that to some Democratic-minded Muslims, some of them unfriended me, which I'm totally fine with. I'm okay with that. But I have to tell you, this is not where our eggs should go. The baskets where our eggs should go is with the Republicans, with the Democrats, with the individuals who are working towards a better America, regardless of their party affiliation, regardless of their religion, regardless of their culture, regardless of their background. Doesn't matter if they are fourth generation American white, or if they are third generation American black, or they are natives of this land, or they are Hispanics who immigrated into this land, or their parents immigrated into this land. There is a need to work with people working for America and not to be blinded by party affiliation or color. And with that, I'm going to give it back to you, Carl.
I see that we have gone long this evening, so I'll just start wrapping it up here. I want to thank everybody that joined us on YouTube this evening. I want to thank everybody that has watched, will watch. If you're watching this for the first time, make sure you click that subscribe button. And when you click the subscribe button, make sure you click the little bell next to it so that when we do this live, you get the alerts on your phone. Hey, we should watch this. Sister Layla, thank you for your comments. Thank you for all of those that will leave comments in the future. We really appreciate it. And this is a real topic, people. This is something that is happening, and we obviously can't fix it in the 37 minutes that we're here this evening. But let's keep the conversation going. As Imam Azhar said, when we post our polls on Monday under the "What's the deal with?" If it's you want to put something in there, just comment. Let us know what it is you'd like to see in that spot, and we'll if it gets enough likes, we'll make that the thing. Make sure you head over to vennetwork.org so that you can see all the other shows that we have. Make sure that you share this broadcast with your friends and your family. Post it on Facebook, retweet it, everything else you got to do so that everybody knows we get more subscribers and we can help share the word. While you're over at vennetwork.org checking out the other shows that we have to offer, you can get yourself some cool Venn Network swag that will help support the network, support the hosts, and help us reach more of an audience so that we can help spread the word. I would also like to just throw this back out there before I forget. We are looking for an intern graphic artist. So if you're interested in graphic arts, or you know someone that's interested in graphic arts, ping us so we can get some cool t-shirts rocking, because I know we had some thoughts that we wanted to get up and running, and that way, you can help support the network. So until next week, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. And as always, we will say, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.